Hello, everybody. It's been a while. My name's Sean Bischoff. I'm the general manager of Triumph, and this is episode 9 of Together. It's been a while. We took a week off for the holidays. If you were around for episode 8 and you stuck around to the end, which I know you probably did not, we did mention we were going to take a week off. So, holidays, everyone's traveling. I was a little bit busy last weekend, but I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to have a great guest on and get back to action. No ads today. I figure it's kind of weird to read ads, start the new year off. But what I do want to say is I want to say thank you guys for the support on the last episode 8. Got a lot of support on it, a lot of views. A lot of you guys liked that video. I thought it was a pretty interesting conversation. And I just want to give a quick shout out to you guys that support the series, that support the podcast. It means a lot. Literally, like every view, literally every like, we notice it and it matters a lot. So I appreciate it. And also the love on the iTunes. It's much appreciated. So however you get it, I hope you enjoy it. Today, our guest is none other than the world champion himself, Matt Royalty. He's a professional COD player, for Triumph. And I'm really excited to sit down and talk with him. You know, we had a crazy year last year together, and we're gearing up to have a pretty crazy this year. So without further ado, Matt, what's up, brother?
What's going on? What's going on, Sean? How you doing?
I'm good, dude. How's your coffee?
Dude, it is good. I'm just getting ready for the scrimmages. Well, not right now, but in a few hours, going to be getting in the virtual battlefield. So just getting ready.
Simulated warfare, man. The grind
Exactly.
does not stop.
No, it does not.
Yeah, man. 2021, dude. I was thinking about this podcast. You ringing in the new year with you, and I was thinking about your career a little bit, dude. And I figured this could actually be a really good opportunity. I think a lot of people know who you are, but you are, kind of one of the guys that you don't make a lot of noise. I don't think you talk too much on social media. You like to kind of keep to yourself and just focus on the grind, man. So I wanted to give an opportunity to kind of reflect a little bit going into
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, for people who haven't followed me, my gamer tag is obviously Royalty. I've been a professional Call of Duty player for about 5 years, 6 years. I started playing professionally in 2015. So yeah, 5-6 years. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just been, I guess, a pro up until late 2019 when the league franchised. I wasn't able to get picked up, as probably if you follow Call of Duty, you probably know that. But yeah, so for the last maybe year and a half, just been trying to make my way back into the league and just been doing my thing. We ended up winning challengers, obviously under Triumph. That was with me, Nagafin, Fellow, Standy, and Davpadie. So that was a squad that we won with. And then yeah, I mean, I've been playing COD for a few years now. I feel like anybody who has followed me since I started playing would know kind of the journey I've gone through, in terms of I don't know, me as a person, and then my career, how I've changed as a player. I can get more into that obviously as the podcast goes on, but yeah, that's basically the gist of me. So
yeah, man. So he's a humble champion, man. Yeah, I mean, what is 2021, dude? It's your 7th year of competing, 6 or 7.
Yeah, it's the 6th, I think. So I didn't start taking Call of Duty serious until I'd say probably I'd say even probably till when I got picked up, like 2015, late 2015 was when I actually came up. Before then, I was just going to events of people I knew I couldn't win with, and I mean, not to say it was bad, but we never did that bad when we went to the events. It was just it just wasn't a winning team. You're just
you were young too, right?
Yeah, I was 16, 17. My first ever event, I think I was 15. I think I remember 15 or 16. And I actually, not a lot of people know this, but my first ever event, I teamed with Nagafin when he had 70 followers on Twitter, and Remy when he also had 400 followers, and we were just a bunch of nobodies, and we ended up making champs bracket. That was the first ever event that I knew that at least myself I could make something of this. That was in late 2014. That was in August of 2014. So quite a while.
That's crazy. You guys kind of came up together, huh?
No, we did. I had a whole circle of players that used to compete. I had a couple Canadians that went to COD champs, this guy named Demon who got 8th at COD champs. He was a part of my circle. A couple others, and then we kind of all been our separate ways later on, and then I kind of regrouped up with Nagafin and Remy in the 2015 season, and and that's when I got my shot on a pro team called Epsilon. And then, nobody knew who I was. I remember when I got picked up, everyone saying like, no, like, I don't know why this, like, I don't know why Epsilon's picking this guy up. They should pick up, this guy instead. And, just because I was obviously a nobody, but I proved myself that event. Went to, was it season 3? It was like the 3rd season of the pro league. Like there was like 3 seasons in the year they had him. Now it's just one big season, but they used to split them up into like quadrants. So there was like season 1, season 2, and season 3, and then there was like a playoff for each and every single one of them. And so by the 3rd pro league season of 2015, that's when I went to the relegation event and I just popped off, and the rest is history, kind of. So.
Yeah, you haven't missed. I mean, other than obviously with the CDL and the last year franchising, you haven't missed a champs, right? Like you were
No,
since
I've
you started
never.
competing.
Actually, literally up until Black Ops 4, it was the only champs I like. I was undefeated in pool play at COD champs up until my last year at COD champs, where
That's
we ended
crazy.
up not making pool play. We ended up getting knocked out in the pool play stages, but up until that, I went in like 3 COD champs going undefeated in pools. So.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's a pretty good streak, man.
No, I know it was. I was like, I remember every time I went to the COD champs, I was like, dude, I'm literally the pool play reaper. Like I'm literally, and two of the COD champs I went in with like the 3rd and 4th seed in my pool. So like we weren't even like 1 and 2. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, it's tougher. Yeah.
So we were just, I don't know, just the pool play reaper, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, man. Well, so it's definitely a lot different now. I was thinking about like. Man, 7. Yeah, I guess if you start playing really like taking it serious in 2015, it will be your 6th year, dude. Do you feel old?
Honestly,
Do you
not
feel old
really.
yet? No?
I don't. I don't. I don't know. I just feel like I was so young when I started playing that like it's not really that big of a deal. I don't know. Like 6 years, I feel like I don't know. It feels long, but it doesn't. Like I don't know. I
Yeah.
just, especially with like the last year being COVID, like I feel like this year, like the year wasn't even like, it didn't really feel like an actual
Right.
year of like Call of Duty because there was no traveling. Like every
Right.
single year I've traveled up until the last year. It was the first year I didn't travel, so kind of
Do
crazy.
you think that the last year, like obviously playing online has been a thing more or less forever. Obviously you're used to playing more LANs, but do you think that in the last year with COVID that the biggest adjustment for you is just the lack of traveling to events, or is it?
Honestly,
something else?
I think it's, for me it was more of like the environment. Like I don't know, when you go to an event and it's like, I don't know, you like, it's just so different. Like you're playing online, you're sitting in your setup, you know what I mean? You're sitting in your own chair, it's just you're all comfortable and
You
stuff.
kick back with
But
a coffee mug, yeah.
exactly, like I just remember waking up at events, you wake up like, I don't even know. You wake up, you shower quickly, you go get breakfast, and then you're going right to the warm-up stations to, grind out for about an hour until until your match comes up. I don't
Yeah.
know. I miss the feeling of like having to get up early, kind of like at 10 a.m., 9 a.m., get your coffee and get your breakfast and get your shower in, and then, go into the stations to warm up. I don't know. I just miss all that stuff. Now it's just, I order my Starbucks, I get online, get in TeamSpeak, just ready to body some people. That's just the routine now. So
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, I figure like it is so different. Like for COD, other like maybe even more so than other esports this year.
yeah,
Like your guys' environment was built off of LAN events, right? And like traveling to LAN events semi regularly and like,
yeah, it's
waking
just
like you said, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like the routine of it. You know what I mean? You're getting up, you're going you're going to your land match, like whether it's an open bracket, whether you're in the pit, whether you're, in like the champs bracket with like all the pros, it's all the same. You're still at the end of the day getting up, excited to play your match. You're with all the people you've, met online, seen online, talked to. Like it's just weird to me the fact that the only player I've met on our team is Jordan. Like that's
Yeah, it's
crazy to
weird.
me. Like that's
Right.
crazy to me. Like I've known every single one of my teammates personally, like, in person, talked to them multiple times, seen them multiple times, but I haven't met Eli or Dave yet. So I mean,
Yeah, and you
it's a
played for
little
like
weird.
with Eli for like a
Exactly.
year and won champs and you still
And
haven't even
Dave
met
too,
the
like
guy.
Dave, I still like, I've known Dave for a while and I still haven't seen the guy. I barely know what Dave looked like until you until we got that picture out of
Until we announced him.
him.
Yeah. No, I
Exactly.
mean it's crazy. It was like, yeah, I mean, if I'm being honest with Dave, it's like we were paying him when he was on the team originally, like he was on the team for like 6 months.
Yeah.
We're like literally paying him every month and didn't even know what he looked like, you know?
It's
It's just
wild. It was
because
just wild to think about.
we're all trapped at home, and it's like, you know, when you use TeamSpeak, there's no video, so it's not like
Exactly.
anyone really sees each other.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, it is definitely, I could see the environment being like the biggest adjustment for somebody who's got years of experience. I
Yeah.
think for a lot of players that came up last year, it's not really a problem because,
Yeah.
you know, it's like their first year competing, so this is just what it is.
Yeah. I feel like also like I don't know, a lot of people who started playing recently, like they kind of like missed like the golden era of like the open bracket and like the amateur scene. Like when I was competing like as like an amateur, like I was able to just actually, get a chance to play against these pro teams by making a run through the open bracket and, getting into pool play and getting to showcase yourself against the top teams, on the mainstream. Now it's like I understand how it like, franchising or whatever, you're not going to have the amateur teams play against the pro teams, which is fair. But then again, it's just like, it just sucks to like, it's just to know that like way back, a couple years ago, you were, literally playing an open bracket, playing your 5, 6 rounds and then getting into pool play. You're like, I'd always be sitting there. Like, I remember in World War II, I was on a Lightning Pandas. We weren't in the league, but we made pool play every single event. Like we played through open bracket and made it through the pool, like made it through the gauntlet every single time. I just remember like after the last match, we would always just be like waiting to see which pool we were gonna get dropped into. You know what I mean? It was
Right.
just like just that. I don't know. It was just the feeling of like, we have a chance to win the entire event, the same chances like all these pro teams, and then you kind of take away that chance. You kind of just get everyone to play against each other and the amateurs. It's cool and all, but I kind of miss the feeling of like being able to like beat people who are supposed to be better than you, like quote unquote better than you. You know what I mean? Getting
Mhm.
that chance to. And I mean, it's good that they that they put the amateurs together and then they gave us their own prize pool and all. But I mean, for me,
Yeah.
like I just think that like for me, like I've played at the pro level, like I want to be able to play against these pro teams like I've done for years and years. So
Yeah.
it's just kind of it's just unfortunate, but I mean the way they've done it, like even in Modern Warfare, it wasn't even that bad. Like I mean, I guess they did it what they did pretty like good with what they had in front of them. You know what I mean? At the end of the
Yeah.
day, it was a pandemic. We played online. They gave us a decent amount of prize pool. I just wish the stream was the main thing. They definitely needed to be like more broadcasted, which it seems like they're doing a bit more this year, which is
Yeah.
good. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's just I wish you were able to. I wish I was able to compete against the best of the best. Like, still, that's my biggest, I guess, thing that I wish.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you. I mean, we've talked about this like kind of ad nauseum. Every time I have like a COD guy on, this is usually what we're talking about because this last year has been so different for experienced COD guys. And, you know, it's so hard to judge whether or not it's, you know, the new system with the franchise league is better or worse from a player's perspective, just because this last year was like, not only was it a change in format, but you also had an epidemic that just ruined
Yeah,
everything they even had planned.
exactly, exactly,
Because,
exactly.
like, do you think that if the pandemic never happened, right, which is ridiculous to even say, just because it's been like literally
Yeah,
a year,
yeah.
like we just like this is actually
Hypothetically,
just
though,
feels like life now. But like if
I
the
know.
pandemic hadn't happened, do you think that you would still feel the same way or like still feel as strongly about not being in open pools? Because if things had gone to plan, they would have still had amateur events regularly. Like like you guys went to Minnesota, we had like regular homestand events that amateur teams could go to and play for their own,
Yeah.
you know, events. Like, do you think that if we went back to lands, even amateur lands being separated and not being part of like an open bracket with the pro
Mhm.
teams?
Yeah, I mean, I still hate it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'll always hate it just because like the way I look at the whole system is like if I'm winning an amateur event, that means I place top 16. That's how I think of it, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's how I've always thought of it. That's how I always think of it. I just think that, if you're winning these events, you're basically behind the 12th place league team, right?
Right.
So that would take you top 16. And,
Right.
in World War II, my team was able to get top 12, top 12, top 8. Like we came to the open bracket and we were all placing all these teams that started in pool play. And now I just feel like if I'm not winning these events, it just feels like, what am I getting? Top 24? Like, it's just
Right.
stinks, but I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. So
It's also tough when, you know, the top few amateur teams, and I don't even like using the word amateur. I think it's a word that comes from like the COD sort of ethos, but I think like it's not even a fair way to measure things anymore. Like it's technically amateur if you're not in the CDL. Anyway, I don't want to get into it. Yeah. The top challengers teams right now and last season, and I think conceivably forever, are always going to be better than the bottom CDL teams. So like for right now, like the way that you feel is really only emboldened by the fact that you can like Triumph right now could beat the bottom couple CDL teams in scrims pretty badly. You know what I mean? So it's like when you know you're better than a team, for example, but you can't even compete against them and they're considered better than you. It's like it's I can imagine how that feels.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, it's just like it's kind of like a slap in the face a little bit, but like I mean, it's whatever because I mean, at the end of the day, opportunities will come. I'm not gonna sit here and talk about who shoulda, woulda, couldas, because there's a lot of them, right? Like I feel like if you ask me, I feel like I should be in the league, but other people's opinions maybe not so. Whatever.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I'm still gonna prove it. I feel like the team we have right now is really good, and I'm a firm believer that we are better than some of the league teams. So I mean, we're just gonna go out there and show it, and that's it. I mean,
and obviously, I'm not trying to like put you.
Oh yeah, no, don't worry.
Like,
because I feel strongly about it. No, I feel strongly about it too. Like I know we're better than some of these teams. So, I mean, I wish we were able to showcase it at an event. You know what I mean? I wish we were because I remember when when I played the open bracket before, it was always like these guys should be in the league. They're beating all these teams in the league, and now you can't really get a chance to play against these teams in the league. So it's hard for everyone to get like a gauge of like how good a team is compared to a pro team now. You know what I mean? Like there's scrims, but like nobody really watches scrims. Like it's only the players. Like we might know that we're better than some of these teams, but the whole world doesn't. You know what I mean? They see them as the top of the notch. 48 players, one of the 48 players or whatever in the league. And, there's no way that an amateur team could be better. But at the end of the day, it's, I've played professionally, I've been in like winners finals, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know.
Well, it is what it is, right?
Yeah, no, 100%.
All you can do now, it's like, because I don't mean to get hung up too much on the format. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
It is what it is. It's like now it's like, okay, if you want to compete and prove you're the best, you just have to keep
You have to do it. You have to just do it. And, there's no point to sit here and talk about, why you should be in the league because, I mean, at the end of the day, if you play good enough, you will be. It's just bottom line. So that's just the way I look at it. Exactly. That's just the way I'm looking at it. That's just the way I've looked at it for a while now. I mean, maybe at the start, I was always like, "Oh, I should be in the league right now." Why am I not in the league? And then you kind of just like, I don't know, that whole like mindset just kind of like goes away after time. Like, you kind of deal with the situation you're in, and then figure out a way to get out of it. And that's kind of where I'm at. It's like I know where I'm at in my career, and I know where I should be. And I'm just going to keep working towards that. And especially with the team I have now, like I'm a firm believer that, we're going to be winning. We're going to be winning a lot of stuff in amateur and the amateur stuff, like, challengers. And then eventually I'll get my shot again. So I'm not too worried.
Yeah, you'll get your shot for sure, brother. I mean, I think just in general, it's just important to remember as players that it just is what it is. And all you can do is just try to be reliable and try to get your shot, and
exactly.
Yeah, like I'm not sure how I feel about franchising. I personally, I've said this so many times on the podcast, I almost don't want to keep talking about it. It's just like I feel like it is the right direction long term, but obviously it's a huge change from what people are familiar with, and so it's really just got everyone going through growing pains. That's how I feel.
No, I definitely agree.
Yeah. So now that you've been put through the ringer for the last year, you won champs, obviously, with these guys. Do you feel like your role as a player has changed really? Like your role in a team from being, sort of just like a 17-year-old speed demon to being, somebody who's been in the league for 5 years. Like, do you feel like your role has changed within a team in your career?
No, I definitely think it's changed. I mean, at the start of my career, I was like known, and like that's the problem is like these stigmas that like they just stick with you, right? Like for some reason, everyone thinks I'm just this crackhead 17-year-old player who just flies everywhere with just like ego child's like, no, that's not how I play anymore. Like that's how I came up, like, right? Like I came up strictly all gunny. Like, I came up when I was like 16 and like I got picked up strictly because I would gun you. Like that was it. Like strictly because I have more gun skill than you. I'm gonna gun you. That was my play style back in the day. Like I'd tell my teammates like, yo, I'm gonna fly in first. I'll entry for us, and I guarantee I'll get us one. At least I'll always go 1-for-1. I used to tell my teammates that I'll always go 1-for-1. But now it's like you kind of, when you team with so many players, like veteran players, you kind of like just learn like, okay, like this is more of a consistent play style, play like this, and then you kind of start implementing in your own game. And I feel like as a player myself, like I've slowed down a little bit as like a, my pacing wise, not like as a player, but my pacing has slowed down a bit, for the better, obviously, more teamwork oriented. And yeah, so I mean, I definitely have changed. If you go watch an Advanced Warfare VOD, Epsilon, whatever you want to watch, Optic versus Epsilon, Phase versus Epsilon, I don't care what VOD it is, you're going to see how I play, and it's going to be completely different from how I play, if you watch like a VOD from like Black Ops 4 or even, you know what I mean? World War II. Like World War II, I ran an AR. In Advanced Warfare, I ran a sub. So there's been a few
Good to
changes in
know.
my career. Yeah, no, there's been a few changes in my career. I've never ran like a strictly main AR, but I've always been like if I've done the AR role, it's been like at a faster pace, but just nowhere near as fast as I used to be. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's a pretty common thread in most people's careers, actually, right? It's like I feel like the best players typically start out as like these teenagers that are just like real fast and they have like
yeah,
superior gun skills, so they just shit on everybody. And then, as they play the game professionally, as like they play more and more games every year, you have to play a new game, you have to learn the way the game works, and I think like that experience makes you like a wiser player, and
yeah.
just in turn will like slow you down, not in a skill way like you're saying, but sort of in like an analytical way where like you're
Yeah,
gonna
like you're gonna realize what's better for the team.
right.
Me flying in there and maybe getting a two-piece might not be better than waiting for my. It's just like flying in and getting a two-piece. What if you don't get that two-piece? Where does that leave your team now? You're staggered. You're in a 3v4. You just got to look at it from like your teammates' point of view. It's like how you want to set up and how you want to break some hills. Whatever the case is, you just want to do what's more efficient, right? So like me flying in there, getting a two-piece, breaking the hill, great. If I'm not doing that, then what's happening? So that's just the way I've been looking at it for a few years now, and I've definitely just changed I've always, yeah, I don't know. I always thought about it like, because in Advanced Warfare, like if you look at the actual video, like I don't think there's a faster player. I don't think there ever was a faster player than me. Like I actually am a firm believer that I'm probably one of the fast. I probably was one of the fastest players to like play. I mean, there was like Zuma who's like really quickly, but like I don't know. If you go watch it, like I'd literally go like 44 and 40 some maps. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. So I was on some demon stuff. Like
Just
I
had your
don't know.
stick taped down, dude. You were just
Dude,
going.
it was crazy. I remember, like, you can even ask Jared, like, you can ask a lot of people I've played with. Like, I was really just a speed demon.
Yeah, I mean, you could still turn it on. I still see you turn it on every once in a while. It's fun to watch you guys play
Oh,
because
yeah, I'll get cracked sometimes. I'll get super cracked.
there'll be some series where you just like throw it back to 17 and you just take over, man. I think I was curious, like your experience. Obviously, this last year has been weird for everyone, as we've mentioned, but how's your experience been working with, upcoming players? I don't want to necessarily call them young. They're obviously younger
Yeah.
than you, but like, been your experience working with players like Eli and players like Dave? Like, do you feel like you, it's
Um,
like, do you feel like you've had to take any, particular role with them or like put extra effort into being their teammate? Or do you think they've just been pretty
no,
touch and go?
no, they've been pretty well. Well, see, the thing is I feel like I've never always played with like the top, like, you know what I mean? The bet, like, I don't even know how to I don't know how to word this, but I've never played with like the top-notch pro players. You know what I mean? At least I haven't played with many of them, Played with a few over my times, but I've played with a lot of like people that I've had to pick up that were amateurs and kind of like turn them into pro players almost. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
a lot of people don't know this, but Exotic, like John Exotic, before he became a pro player, he got like top 44 at an event, and then I knew how good he was because he was a Canadian, and I picked him up. It was me, Remy, and Moch, and we picked up John. He was just kind of like a local, but he got like top 32 or something at like the last event. It wasn't too good or whatever, but we picked him up and we just this was literally my project, right? Like John Exotic was my project at the time, like, and I knew how good he was, and we you just kind of like help everyone. You just kind of like help them learn, and like just develop them as like a player. And then I just feel like it doesn't take that long. I feel like if you get the right person, the right personality, like they'll take what you say and they'll actually listen. Like Eli is a good listener. Dave's a good listener.
Right.
I feel like they take a lot from what I say and what Jay says, and even what Tyler said, what Jared said. I feel like they took it and they actually ran with it, and they've gotten better now because of it.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've had that same experience with like a couple other players like John Exotic. Um, I guess John would be the only one, but I've played with a few other players just in like random tournaments. Like I was in the league in Infinite
Well,
Warfare one time.
even Diamond Con, maybe you could put on
Yeah.
that
Okay.
list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even Connor. Even Connor. I mean, Connor's maybe a little different because I've only. Yeah. I guess Connor's actually a good one because I've known Connor since he was 15. Like I've literally known this guy since 2016. I remember watching this guy at a local event, and he was like playing against like Goonjar and like Holler and like a couple other guys, and he dropped like 62 or something in one of the hard points, and he was like 15 years old, and nobody knew who he was. I was like, "Yo, this kid's pretty good. Like, I'm gonna play some S&D tournaments with him." So I started playing some S&D tournaments with him, and I knew how good he was. And then obviously going into last year, I was like, "Yo, like let's just pick up Diamond Con. Like I know this kid's nasty. He's of age now. Like let's see what this kid can do." And then obviously he performed really well at champs, and we ended up winning it. So yeah, I feel like there's players that kind of have it, and I feel like you have to have like the right personality. Like I'm not too good with like working with people who are like kind of like stuck up, you know what I mean, and like unwilling to
Hmm.
listen. Like you have to have some sort of willingness to like actually like learn the game and like take what your teammates say, because at the end of the day, like I have more experience than Eli, Dave, and Connor, and they were open to list. Like you know what I mean? Like I'm literally
Right.
giving you
Yeah.
free knowledge. Like you know what I'm saying? Like free knowledge. Like just take it. Like you know what I'm saying? If you're willing
Yeah.
to listen, like it's gonna make you better. Like you know what I mean? That's
Yeah. I
just
see
how I
what you're
look at
saying.
it. Yeah.
I see what you're saying. It's like you don't necessarily have to do much yourself. You have that experience and that knowledge and like so that
Yeah.
perspective. So as long as people that are joining your team are like able to just be open minded and listen to you, that
Yeah.
like usually it works out. And yeah, I
Exactly.
mean, yeah, it makes sense. Like
Yeah.
I think there's something that you do that's really unique as a player. It's really hard to quantify, man. And it's a shame because I think speaking to how you believe you should be in the league, and obviously you still have to prove yourself a little bit. I just think there's a lot that to your game and to the way that you are a teammate that people don't realize because they're not in scrims every day. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And it's starting to be obvious because of how many players you've played with that have become better after playing alongside you, in a
Yeah.
way, you know.
I mean,
Um,
I mean, I just look at it like the same way. Like, when I was coming up, like, there wasn't a lot of players that, like, I had to, like, kind of look up to. Like, the first player I had to experience and, like, actually learn from was, like, Haggy. Haggy was, like, the first person to, like, teach me, like, yo, just play for some damn information. Like, you know what I mean? Just do
right.
this. And maybe he might have not have portrayed it as, like, maybe he might not have been the best at, like, expressing it. But if you just actually listen to what he has to say. You know what I mean? At least I did back in like when I was like 17. I just listened to like what the vets were saying to me and what everyone was telling me, and like I understood it. Like you know what I mean? Like don't throw a fit. Just like listen to what people have to say, and I swear you will become better. Like I swear on it. Like you just listen to what everyone has to say, especially people with more experience than you, and you literally just like it's just free knowledge, man. It's free licks. Like I promise you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I love the perspective. And I think that's one of the reasons why we were successful last year. And I think that's one of the reasons why players like Dave and Eli have done so well is
Yeah.
because they listen and they're like sponges, dude. Like they
No,
want the
they
info.
are. They
Like,
are. No, they do. They like Eli loves to learn. Same with Dave. Like and Dave, like both of them will ask like why they should like, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people like won't really ask. They'll kind of like brush it off. Like okay, yeah, no, you're right. I should have done that. But like
right.
at least with Dave and Eli, they kind of tell you their perspective, why they did something, and then they ask you if they don't understand. Why do you think that's a better play? And it's like just having a casual conversation. And another thing I want to bring up because I'm just a little bit mind blown, like playing challengers for the last year. Every single time we play a scrim and we win a map, the other team starts up the next map like this. Like the map will finish,
Yeah.
they'll lose by like 70 points, and then the next map will be started like that. And I'm just sitting here like, how are you not going to talk about the map prior? Like, I understand if you have it recorded in VODs and you want to go in and watch VODs later, but at least bring up some general points so you at least can remember when you're going back and watching it. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand how people can just, finish a map and start the next one instantly. Like,
Yeah.
Patrick Price would literally roast you. Like, Aches used to literally, I remember scrimming Aches in World War II. He would win a map and he would take 10 minutes after the map and you'd be like, dude, what is this guy doing? And he'd be in his team speak, like explaining to his team and talking about all the situations that happened in that map and breaking it down. And that's how they spend their time, like after every map. And I feel like everyone just finish a map, you start up the next one. It's like, dude, like just give it like 2 minutes or so just to talk about what happened. Like, at least that's how I like doing it. So I don't know.
No, I think you're right, dude. I mean, yeah, that's kind of like wisdom. I don't know if there's any AM players listening to this podcast, but that's true. Like, it's interesting in COD. Like, I watch scrims all the time. I watch you guys scrims really often. I'm usually around, and I also watch CS scrims. I've worked in a lot of games, and I think COD is like the only game that I've seen where players do that.
Yeah,
It's like
I don't get it.
There's like this trend in the sort of the amateur level where, and maybe even in the pro level, I don't know, where teams will just like headbutt their monitors. Like they lose a map and they just start up the next one because and I don't know what it is. I guess it's different on every team. Like some teams just don't have a productive environment. Some teams, maybe they just don't want to fight. So then they just start up the map. Like, I don't know what it is, but I do think that you're right, man. Like that's a huge goal to success.
Huge, like exactly. I just feel like if you're not sitting there talking about, what you could have done better, then I mean, yeah, you can go in and watch VODs and, still learn, but it's just like, I don't know. I just feel like everything's fresh in my head. Like I know exactly what happened that map, and just express what you like. Just say what you have to say. Don't need to rage because you lost the map. You want to start up the next one and get your redemption. Like that's how I think of these teams. Like sometimes I'm like, dude, are you starting this map because you want to just beat me, like or something? Like, just chill. It's the damn scrim. Like nobody really cares, So
right,
I mean,
practice.
Yeah, exactly. It's really just to learn. I don't know.
Yeah. So. That's a good point, and it leads me to wonder, like, last year obviously we won champs. Now the team looks a little bit different than it did. I mean, already by default we went from 5v5 to 4v4 this year, so that's a change because we obviously couldn't all come together one way or another. And really, existing from last year's team, it's only you and Eli. So I was wondering, like, as a defending champion with sort of a new mixed squad, how has your approach changed, if at all, this year? Because obviously, like, our goal this year must be to win a championship again.
Yeah,
you can't set a goal for second place this
exactly.
year. So
No.
has your approach changed at all with this rebuild or with this season in Cold War?
I don't know. My approach, not really. I mean, I still think we're going to be doing the same things. Maybe we're just going to be working at it a little bit harder, especially with Jordan. I feel like Jordan's like going to really help us, like in terms of teamwork wise and, keeping the game, kind of consistent. Like, I feel like that's what Jordan's really good with, is making sure that, if we're like, you're just making the game as consistent as you possibly can make it. You know what I mean? Like, we're not trying to have these random fluke tournaments where we get top 16. Like, we're not trying to have that this year. Like, we want to be, winning, if not, in the top three. Granted, if you're not winning, it doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, we want to keep our gameplay as consistent as possible. I really dislike placing like top 16 and just losing these random weekends where you just, why, like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, you could be winning the tournament and then you're placing top 16, and I'm just sitting here like,
right.
Why are we being inconsistent right now? What's the issue? Like, and then I feel like Jordan adds some sort of, I don't know, Jordan just adds some sort of stability in like everybody's gameplay. Like, I feel like he really helps out everybody, like in terms of like teamwork, making sure you're doing the same thing. You're doing what you practice, like just like the little stuff. You know what I mean? The little stuff that's going to take you over the edge. And I feel like Jordan's really good with that. And so approach wise, like we're not really changing anything, but with the players we have now on the team, I just think we're going to be. I just feel like, with the personalities we have, like I feel like we can be really consistent, basically.
Yeah, I hear that. I mean, yeah, definitely last year was like our biggest problem is consistency for sure.
Yeah. It was like we could either win one weekend or get top 16, and it's just like, which one are we gonna get?
Yeah, it was like that last year. It's like we won the second most events out of any teams, right? We won 4 events together. The only team that won more was Atlanta. And
Yeah.
it was like it was literally like that. It was like other than the one time where we had 2 in a row, it was like we were either getting top 3 or we getting top 16.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
yeah. I mean, I guess like it should be a lot easier this year to be consistent anyway, just because of 4v4.
Exactly. 4v4. It's huge.
Yeah. So, and I mean, obviously the first couple of weeks we got top 8, but now that we've made changes, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, man. I feel pretty good about our team right now. Like,
No,
I don't
I
know how
do
you're
too.
feeling.
I do
Like,
too. I feel like we're really damn good.
yeah,
I feel like the team's really good right now. We're in a good spot. I mean, scrims are scrims, but I mean, we've been looking pretty good. Yeah, I just feel like everyone's work ethic is like really good. Like we've been putting in a lot of hours recently, like even over the holidays, like been spending like 8 hours, even like we've only took 2 days off.
yeah,
We took Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Every single day we've scrimmed since that. So, and we've been putting a lot of hours in, 8 to 9 hours per day. I think yesterday might have been like our kind of like leisure day, and we were still like playing till like 8 p.m. So from one
yeah.
to eight, so still like 7 hours.
It was still
And
like a
that,
full day. Yeah,
yeah, and that was like our shortest day, like in the last like 3 weeks. So yeah, I mean, we've just been putting in a lot of time, and we're just hoping it pays off. I mean, our consistency looks good. It's not like we're waking up one day in scrims, getting shit on, and then the next day, frying a team. It's been kind of like the same thing for the last like 2 weeks. We've been doing our thing, and it's been looking good. So
yeah, that's good, man. I wondered, how do you feel about the? So this is pre-recorded for everyone that's listening to this on Tuesday, but last night they banned the AK. The pros
Mhm.
banned the AK-47. How do you feel about that? Do you think it's gonna make a difference? Do you think we're screwed?
I think Dave's screwed, man. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I mean, dude, I hate the damn gun. I literally can't stand it. Like, I liked it because I had the best AK player in the game on my team. That's why I was okay with it. I had
Yeah,
Davpadie literally using the AK on his fiber. But now that that's gone, I mean, I'm just the only thing I'm dying by was AKs. So now I'm just like, all right,
now you're
time to let
invincible.
loose. Time to let loose. The hogs are loose now. Me and Eli.
Hogs. Yes, sir, dude. Yeah,
I
yeah.
think I think Eli and I will actually get better, and I think Jay will too. Because I don't know, we only used one AK. Like every team we played was using two, and Jordan
Yeah,
was using his XM4 with a scope on it, like playing Battlefront
yeah.
against all these people. So I mean, I feel like we're one of the teams that got least affected. Like maybe Dave, but Dave's Dave. The guys can do anything. Like he can use any
Yeah.
gun. I'm not
Well,
worried about Dave.
Dave's always been like, I mean, when I say always, I mean last year we had similar experiences with like,
Yeah.
you know, I can't remember what the GAs were at the time, dude. I don't know what it was this like last spring, but it's like every time like you try to nerf Dave, he just comes
Dude, we
back.
even gave Dave a sub, and he was like dropping 40. We're like,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
yeah,
Dave, use a sub. You've never used it before, just use it. And then he would literally go into the tournament with 3 days of practice and absolutely shit on.
Well, I think like I don't know if you have an opinion about this actually, but I think a lot of the GAs like there's definitely a huge argument to be made for GAs, and I found it really interesting this last year learning about gentlemen's agreements, right? Learning about
Yeah.
like why they're a thing in COD, and I do think they add a lot to the competitive integrity of the game. It's something. The reason I bring it up is something that's unique to Call of Duty compared
Yeah.
to other games. There's no other game that I know of that does something like this.
Yeah.
Where the community and the pros literally say, okay, everyone, we're not going to use this gun. We're not going to use this loadout. We're not going to use these skills.
Yeah.
And I think it brings a lot to the game, but I think there's been a lot of conversation, certainly during COVID over the last game or two, over the last year, of have GAs been getting out of hand? Are people being a little bit ridiculous with their requests
Yeah.
for
I mean, to
GAs?
be honest, I think it's a little ridiculous, but because I mean, at the end of the day, like, G'ing the AK, like, I think it needs to be like gone or nerfed, but it's just like my whole problem with it is like I feel like their reason, because there's two sides of it, right? You can look at it from the spectator's point of view and saying, why the hell is this AKG8 when we were using all these guns back in the day that were all OP, right? And you can make that argument, but there's another argument where, as a pro player, we know these guns are overpowered. We know they're gonna eventually get nerfed. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you get rid of them now, so you don't have to change the meta in a month. You know what I mean? You get rid of them now, so when they're nerfed and nobody's using them anyways, it's still the same thing. You know what I mean? You're still using the same guns. You know what I mean? Because the AK, like, I'm sure that thing will get nerfed. Like, it's G8
Yeah, for
now, but
sure.
I'm sure it's gonna get nerfed. The same thing happened with the FAR. Like, FAR
Yes.
got nerfed to shit. Like, you know what I mean? So I understand where people are coming from because I think they are a little out of hand sometimes. But you gotta also remember, like, these games aren't really competitive out of the box. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
always had to kind of make them competitive in our own way. It's been like that for a while now.
Hmm.
And I mean, people may think it's getting out of hand, but like if you like, people think like, why are the pros trying to play like bare bones Call of Duty? Like they're not. They're like all the pro players are not trying to play bare bones Call of Duty. Like they are trying different things. Like the last month and a half, they've been testing out if they've been using streaks or not. Like they've been trying different stuff, right? And just because an AK is out of the game doesn't mean that the pro players want to GA everything. They just see it as like, okay, this gun kills faster than a submachine gun up close. Why is it here? You know what I mean? Why is it better than a sub up close? And it is better than a sub up close. Like I
Right.
take the AK sometimes, like when it was in the game and when was it allowed. I take the AK sometimes into hills that I'm playing like that are close quarters. I literally take the gun in there because I know it's better than the sub. So I know if the guy's a sub and I have an AK and I'm pre-aiming, I'll probably 80% of the time get that
Yeah.
kill. And it shouldn't be like that, right? So
Right. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like it's really important. I think the average fan might not understand. The average fan of COD or the average viewer of COD might not understand why people GA things, why there are so many things that get GA'd. Like
yeah,
there's a lot of stuff that's GA'd, right? Like there's a ton
no,
of stuff.
there is.
And I mean, last year it got bad enough, or I shouldn't say bad enough, but it got extensive enough where it was like a 2-gun meta. Where it's like everybody had
Yeah.
the same MP5 and the same M4, and that was it, right? And like that's just what people
Mhm.
play. But the reasoning, right, is it's twofold, right? It's like number one is like as a player, or from a player's perspective, you want the game to be competitive. So things like
Yeah.
smokes that are broken one ways, like you kind of got to limit those because it makes the game unfair.
Yeah, and I really wish we could use smokes, and I'm sure a lot of people do too. Like the smoke wasn't broken, and there wasn't a one way because a lot of the pub kids, a lot of the people don't know what the hell a one way is,
Right.
right? A one way is literally if you're standing in the smoke grenade, you can see through the smoke, but the other guy can't. So if you ever play S&D at a high level, right? Like we played tournaments like CMG tour. If you ever play at a high level, there will be people like, you're hitting a bomb site on Moscow, right? And you smoke yourself out to get into one way. You will literally have the other team smoke themselves out to create their own one way, and then it's literally a smoke one way battle. Like
Yeah.
it's so stupid, right? And
Yeah.
if they just eliminated that whole aspect of like the one way, just make it a damn smoke grenade where you can just block a line of sight, it'd be a lot better. I'm sure people would use it in hardpoint. Like I'm sure people would
Right.
use it in search, right? Because smoke should be allowed. It's a smoke grenade. Like they've been in every
Yeah.
Call of Duty. So
Well,
I
yeah, it's
mean,
also important. Like smoke grenades, hypothetically, are really important in a lot of tactical ways, right? Like
yeah,
cutting off lines of sight and stuff like that. I guess my main point is that not only are GAs important from a competitive perspective, but also as a viewer. Like with the
yeah,
smoke grenade's a great example. It's like the example you just gave of like the one-way smoke battle.
yeah. It's
Not
like
only does it suck for a player sitting in the smoke, like what's going on, but it also sucks for viewers. Like,
yeah, like you're sitting there and you're watching like a mist. You're literally just in the mist for both players.
yeah,
Like both players are just in the smoke grenade. You don't
just
even
missing
can't see.
bullets, just shooting randomly.
Yeah, and it's just
Yeah.
like I don't know. It just adds like it just adds like this cheesy aspect of the game. And I feel like that's why a lot of people want it gone, the smoke grenade gone. And I feel like if they fix that, it would be just a lot better because, I'm a type of person that I love using my smoke grenades. Like I love using them for fakes. I love, you know what I mean? Like if you go watch, like when I was on my World War II team, my Landing Pandas team, like we were just rats, like the way we played, just straight rats. Like I would double smoke one bomb site, and then I would have my other team sitting at the other, waiting to throw the grenades on the site that like the other team's defending at. And then as soon as I bail with the other site with the smokes, they would all nade in. Just like, you know what I mean? You just got like real tactical with it. But now
Right.
it's just like, you have to save your smoke because you need it for a one way, right? So I can't use our one smoke grenade to fake smoke something. You literally have to use it
Right.
to counter the other person's smoke. Like, it's just like, I don't know. It's just kind of
Yeah.
cheesy the way it's gone. And I feel like if they fix some of the stuff, like last year, like there was no thermal sight on the snipers. It was like the first time a thermal's ever been GA'd. And that was because like for some reason the thermal in Modern Warfare, which nobody talked about, for some reason, like you could just see through the entire smoke with
Yeah.
a thermal sight. Like it wasn't even there, right? So if you were rocking a thermal sight and you were using cold blooded, you could still see the person through the. You know what I mean? Like you're like it
Yeah.
basically was just eliminated the smoke. The thermal, like that's all it did. Is you didn't even need cold blooded. You could use cold blooded, right? And I could be looking through the smoke, and I wouldn't see you on the heat like thermal thing, but I would still see your person because the smoke's not there on my screen. So that's why I just feel like sometimes with these attachments and stuff, they make them a little wonky. Like I feel like
Right.
if you just make if you made the thermal sight the same way as it is this year, where like you can only see the person's outline if you're using a thermal sight. You can only see the person, right? If it was like that in Modern Warfare, maybe we would have saw more thermals come out,
Right.
But obviously, it's just weird how they do some of these attachments and make
Yeah.
some of these balances. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, with every game, it's a different story, right?
Yeah.
Like it's literally different every game. And I guess like the thing that's interesting about GAs and the conversation around GAs in the last the last year or so, really particularly the last couple of months, is that I feel like a lot of people, and I don't know, I might be wrong. You could tell me if I'm wrong. I feel like there's a lot of teams and a lot of players that use that they scapegoat broken weapons or they scapegoat broken abilities or broken loadouts or
Oh
whatever
yeah.
to like make excuses as to why they're not winning, right? And this is
Oh
the
yeah.
problem around GAs. Really, it's not the whether or not GAs can be good. Obviously, they are, right? Like you need them, and
Well, then
every game,
there's just stupid GAs. Like the other
right?
day they were trying to GA the scope, and I'm sitting here
Yes, the
thinking
Jordan
the
General
only
scope.
person who uses the scope is Jordan General. He's the only person that uses the scope, right? So it's like you're trying to get rid of something that one person uses only.
Yeah,
I've seen other people try to use it, and God forbid they even attempted it because I really watch them and it's literally the Shakerson. Like they're missing any
yeah,
shot. And I'm just saying, like Jordan's just the way he plays. It's good. The scope's good for him. It's not like some sort of all great, you know, site where you can see everything. It's like you lose. There's cons to it. Like you can't hit the same shots that you would hit up close. But
right,
you do, probably can see more at distance. It's just like pros and cons, right? Like
right,
you don't J that, like it's you don't J something that's worse up close. Like it's just you choose to use it. You choose to be
yeah,
worse up close and better from far. Like so I don't know. Like with
yeah,
that stuff, like that's out of hand. Like people that try to get rid of that stuff, that's just stupid. And
yeah.
I agree with that. Like I just think it's literally just I don't know why people are even try to like it's a scope. You know what I mean? It's a scope.
Right, I think so too. I mean, I agree with you, and that's kind of what I'm getting at too. And like the Jordan, the dual zoom scope or whatever is a good example because I think everybody in the scene knows that that's like his thing. But I think like what happens is like it creates this environment where people think that they can just make excuses for like something that's slightly broken. I mean, even the AK, even though the AK was broken, for example, like even
Yeah.
though everybody in the scene knows the AK was too powerful, there are people right now today getting ready for the cup next weekend that think that, oh, because the AK is GA'd, I'm gonna play better or
Yeah, where
our
our
team's
team
gonna be
is
better.
just better, like because it's
And
gone.
I think it's an excuse making system. And I've said this before, but it's interesting to me, like in COD, how the game can change every single year. The guns change throughout the year, the loadouts change throughout the year. And despite everything, like being on literally like a different video game every year, the same players are always at the top, pretty
The
much.
same, basically.
Yeah.
Basically, it's
And,
it's pretty consistent for the most part.
and
So
that says to me that really like the GAs don't really matter that much to teams that are good. Like if you're a good player, if you're that means you're a flexible player and you're going to be
yeah.
able to work around whatever gets GA'd anyway.
Well, you got to
Because
look at it like people that think they're gonna be like, if you play Call of Duty, like you are a person. If you play competitive Call of Duty, you are a person who has to like figure out a brand new game every single year. You're
right,
already versatile in a different way. You know what I mean? You're already good at adapting to different things if you've been at the top for, a few years now. You know what I mean? If you've been playing good for a couple years, you've been able to adapt from game to game, right? What's cool like, we're going from game I don't care about gun to gun. Like that's to me that's like, you know what I mean? Like anybody can go gun to gun if you're good. You know what I mean? Like the
right.
fact that people can go game to game, that's crazy to me. You know what I mean? So yeah, I 100% agree with your point. Like, if you think that because the gun is gone, you're going to be immensely better because another team might be shit now, you're just wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Especially if it's a good team. Like, I don't know. I just think that you know, like for example, like Dave. Like people hated playing Dave because Dave was good with an AK. Well, Dave's good with any gun you give him. Like give him
right.
a XM4, you give him the FAR, you give him anything, he'll piss on you. You know what I mean? Like he's good. He's really damn good. And just because, a gun kills quickly doesn't mean he's not going to be able to, use something else and be just as good. So that's
Especially if
just my
everyone
opinion.
has to use it. Yeah, like it's like if
Exactly.
everyone's going to be on an even playing field, the best players are typically going to still be the best players.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
just the way I look at it too.
Yeah, I feel the same way, man. I wanted to ask you, just to kind of circle back on what we were talking about earlier, just because I think it is an important topic to talk about with someone like you. With the current path to pro system between challengers and the pro league, obviously, I imagine you have a lot of qualms with it or like problems with it. But like, I wanted to ask you, what is something that you think you'd like to see in the path to pro, like improved? Is there something that you think needs to be added or changed with the franchise system?
I don't know. It's really tough because I feel like a lot, because there's just so much that like comes down to it, like in terms of like I don't know what makes sense for both, because you got these teams that pay 25 million to be in the league. Like obviously, I would like to see some sort of show match between the top AMs and the pro teams, but I don't know if that can even happen. I don't know if that's doable. I don't know if these league teams are even going to want that. At the end of the day, like they like the hierarchy is like the CDL franchises are at the top, and kind of like everybody else is underneath. And fair enough, they paid their money to have their spot and so forth. But I would really like to see like just the chance to an organized tournament, not like a CMG tournament where Dallas Empire enters it and they're the only team that enters it, and then you get all these amateur teams. I like to see some sort of like tournament for like I don't know, like show match like 20K or something, just nothing crazy, but just maybe like the top 4 teams from challengers are able to play with the 12 teams from the league. You know what I mean? Just almost like
Yeah.
a show match tournament to like display like here's the next talent. You know what I mean? Here's the talent that's been developing in the challenger scene against the pro teams. Obviously, it's wishful thinking because I just don't think that's going to be plausible just because how the franchise format is. But I would
Yeah.
like to see something like that because I think it's important to see, because you're watching all these players play against the other amateur players. You can never like. I don't know. I came up, the way I came up is I literally came up, made the pro league and made my day. Like I literally just people knew who I was after playing Optic. Like I played Optic one time and I gained like 6,000 followers from one game on
Yeah.
Twitter. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and nobody's able to do that anymore. Like, you know what I mean? It's
Because you
just,
can't play it. Yeah.
yeah, it's like times have changed. You know what I mean? So if I wasn't able to do that, like, and do what I was able to do, like, who knows what would have happened. So I just wish there was some sort of way to kind of bridge the two. But I just, other than that, I mean, I feel like they've done a pretty good job this year from like, the ideas. Like, I get the idea of it all. I get the scouting series. I get all these different things that they're trying to do, right? Now, they might not be perfect because at the end of the day, this is just, they're trying some stuff out this year. Scouting series, there was obviously some flaws to it. Why, like, it didn't really work out the way they planned. But at the end of the day, good idea, right? Like, great idea to
Right.
have, the amateur people be on broadcast against each other. I like the concept of it was great, and they have all these great ideas. I just think that maybe over the next couple of years, if they take the criticism and take the feedback and actually just tweak a few things, it could even be better. And that goes like in terms of like scouting series, challenger cups. Like I feel like they did a good job this year too, with like not having 100 tournaments like every weekend. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's
Yeah.
actually like we've only played 2 challengers cups up to this point. Like before, like last year, you look at last year, you probably played like eight tournaments or 9 tournaments or something. We've only played 2, and I feel like that's good because like these tournaments feel more meaningful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
I know what you're saying. Yeah, no, that'd be interesting. Like, I guess, obviously, the thing that most players like yourself miss is like the ability to just on merit play against the best teams and work your way up through like an open qualifier and stuff like
yeah,
that. The ability to be the best team in the world is obviously the biggest thing that's being missed now. But and I suppose there'll probably never be an opportunity for teams, for challengers teams or amateur teams, to play in the league, like in the
yeah,
CDL. I don't think that it benefits the league at all to
no,
do
no,
that,
it doesn't, it
and
doesn't,
I don't think any CDL org would like vote for that,
no,
unfortunately. So that's fine and all, but maybe they could do like an off-season thing.
yeah,
Like as you said it, I just started thinking like, what if they had like and this is just an idea float, like what if they had like an off-season tournament, like you said. It's almost like a show match where the top 4 challengers teams get invited to play with the 12 CDL teams, and they just play like a weekend event or something
Exactly.
for fun, or maybe there's a prize pool involved, maybe there's a charity or something. I
Yeah,
don't know. Like,
exactly. That could be anything. Like they could make it a charity where,
yeah,
whoever wins gets the chance to donate to this cause. Whatever it is, I just feel like if they were able to just do something where it's like streamed and all these, because all these people like, even in like a Reddit or whatever, like everybody wants to know like who's the upcoming player, and
right,
it's hard to get a good gauge of it. Like if you go like look in the past, right? It was kind of like a clear definitive like who is the next player up, right? Like who is the next player to come up, because you get to watch, Simp play against, Optic and all these teams. You get to watch them just like absolutely just smoke everybody. And you just know, like, this kid's next up, whether it's like Celium, this kid's next up, you just know because they play against the best players. But when you get, these amateur players who are also very good like in the same right, Eli too, like Eli's a good example. Like he's really good, but you get these mixed opinions because nobody's able to actually play against everybody. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You get people saying, Afro's the best. You get people saying, Eli's the best. You get people saying Jimbo's the best. You know what I mean? And I
right,
feel like if everything was still combined, you would have like a clear definitive, like this guy is absolutely filthy. This guy's the next one up because, he's beating all these teams. Like, it's just, I just feel like it was way easier to tell back in the day, like,
yeah.
who's going to be the next one up,
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I think there's been a lot of efforts made in the last couple of months to kind of increase exposure on players like that, like
Yeah.
on challengers players. I mean, between like people like I Hold Shift, like streaming the first couple of cups, trying like people are trying their best to even
Yeah, like they're
stream like the
trying.
smallest tournaments, and to do stats. Like, they release those stats after every event where like they're like, oh, look at royalty average of 1.4 and SMGs on whatever,
Yeah.
on hard points. And so they're like, people are trying to increase exposure, but it's got to come from the league in a way. And even
Yeah.
if they improve this year on visibility for challengers events and visibility for like challengers elite and stuff like that, there always still will be, like you said, sort of like the different opinions of people's like, well, yeah, sure, like Eli has a 2.0 KD in challengers and won champs 2 years in a row, but he never had to play against Scump, like,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. You
I
know
know
what
what
I
you're saying.
mean? So I
Yeah, I
just,
know what you're
yeah.
saying. Yeah. So yeah, man. So you guys have practice today. Obviously, I don't want to
Yeah.
hold you up too long. I appreciate you sitting down and taking some time.
Oh
It's
yeah,
funny
it
because
was fun.
I feel like we could probably talk for hours, dude. Like
Oh,
every
dude,
time,
hours.
I feel like
Legitimately
you have so
hours.
many stories, dude. Every day, like you still surprise me with like new stories and stuff. So, but I
Dude, I have a
appreciate
lot
it.
up the sleeve, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, you did, dude. You got thick sleeves, bro. That's what it is. Um, but yeah, man, I'm looking forward to the next cup that's coming up this weekend. I know you guys are hard at work. So I just want to give you an opportunity. If there's any final thing that you want to say, anything that you want to leave the podcast with before we end the episode, is there anything on your mind, brother?
Not really, other than, this new Triumph team has been having a lot of fun with them. Been enjoying the grind, and I'm just ready to get back into the tournament, environment. I mean, these online things are great and all, but I would like to, just travel and, be able to meet up with everybody, especially my teammates and, the organization that I've been under for the last year. It's weird. I feel it's weird for you. It's weird for, everybody, everyone in this situation, you know what I mean? Because a lot of people don't really see that, you know what I mean? They don't know that, like, the struggles behind the scenes, like, to make sure everything's running smoothly. We can't see each other, you know what I mean? Like, I'm in a different country from, my whole team. It's not like I can just book a flight if I wanted to go boot camp with them and practice, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. So I mean, I'm just looking forward to 2021, and I'm just looking forward to a better year, basically.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, it is weird. I feel like I owe you guys all lunch. It's so weird that we haven't gone anywhere together yet.
I mean, it's just weird for everybody, right? Like, it's weird for
Yeah.
you, weird for me, weird for everybody else. Like, it's probably weird for Eli and Dave. Like, we probably like, are the longest, teammates. Like, you guys are like Triumph's the longest org they've ever been on. They haven't met
Yeah.
any of us. Like, you know what I'm saying? So we'll get it together though. I'm not worried.
Yeah, I'm not worried either, brother. Well, thank you for your time today, man. And
No
I'm
worries, Joe.
excited to see you guys win the cup this weekend.
Yes, sir. You already know.